Hello and welcome to part 3 of the series called What's Next for Us, where I talk about all the great things that are awaiting us in the future. In the first two parts of this series, I touched upon some of the most influential technologies that are going to be influencing the quality of life on Earth. Things like the global consciousness and immortality and robotics and virtual reality and a few other things. If you haven't checked them out yet, just follow the links to parts 1 and 2. This part here, part 3, is going to be the final installment, and rather than going on about some more of the technologies that are awaiting us, what I would rather talk about is what we need to do to ensure that we get to these great things that are awaiting us. I mean, I could probably fill up a few more series of all the fantastic and amazing things that are going to be available to us within 10 to 20 years. For these things to be available, what we need to do is avoid two pitfalls that can prevent us from getting to this great future that's awaiting us. So one major pitfall that we need to try to avoid is extinction. Now, extinction, as most of you are probably aware, is where the human race ceases to exist, be it from some type of global catastrophe or natural causes or some conflict or international warfare. Whatever it is, if we become extinct, we can no longer progress and we can't get to this great future that awaits us. But technology is becoming increasingly advanced, and so too is weaponry. So, as these weapons become increasingly powerful, it becomes increasingly important for us to get along, as a species. The more we get along, the less likely that we'll end up killing ourselves off. So, that's global unity and becoming part of the global family. That's something that we can do to avoid extinction. The second pitfall, and one that's becoming increasingly prevalent, is totalitarianism. Totalitarianism, if you're not aware, is where the system gains control over every aspect of existence. Essentially, if you've seen the movie 1984 or read the book, the Big Brother state, that's where there's this force that just monitors everything, and no one's free to think or to move freely or to do anything other than what the system wants you to do. With totalitarianism, all progress essentially will halt because the system really only cares about maintaining its own power. So, all progress stops, all free will essentially is gone, and with it, so too our chances of getting to this great future that's awaiting us. Now, you may think that this is impossible, this will never happen, but in fact it is already happening. Every day steps are being taken that are leading us towards this totalitarianism direction. Essentially it comes down to the fact that technology can be a great liberator, right? Technology will be able to free the human race, but technology can also be used to enslave us, right? So it's really up to us to ensure that this technology is being used for good things and not for just control and for repression. We got cameras on more and more street corners, we got increased government wiretapping, we got monitoring of all the traffic on the internet, and every day we're heading step by step closer to totalitarianism. While each one of these steps in and of itself really may seem benign and non-threatening, but the further we head down this direction, the closer we're going to get to totalitarianism, and there is no coming back from that. Once we get beyond the tipping point, then there is no coming back, and essentially we'll all just be enslaved, which maybe some people will find that desirable, but I think most people who like freedom and like free will and like pluralism and want to keep progressing and keep humanity free, then we should really strive to avoid totalitarianism. So we have these two pitfalls that could potentially prevent us from getting to this great future. So what can we do? What options do we have? How can we steer our species so that we avoid these two pitfalls and get to this great future that's awaiting us? Well, to simplify it, To generalize it, what we need to do is encourage the things that empower the individual and discourage the things that empower the system. And it's as simple as that. The more empowered the individual is, the more empowered individuals we have, the better off we are. An empowered population is really the best defense against tyranny and totalitarianism. So the things that we want more of, the things that empower the individual on a personal level, are things like exercise. You know, the healthier we are, the better we feel, the better off we are. Exercise is essentially a free form of self-improvement, and it's a free form of empowerment. So, you know, exercise, it feels good. It feels good to do it. Peace. We want to try and get in touch with the peace that exists inside of all of us. If you can get in touch with that peace, it's an empowering feeling. So just, you know, look inside of yourself and try to find peace. Another thing we want more of is love. You know, try to love yourself. Kind of walks hand in hand with finding peace. But, you know, once you find love within yourself, you can extend that love to the world around you. Another thing we want more of is knowledge. You know, never stop learning. Never stop growing. You know, read a book, watch a new movie. Never close your mind to new things. You know, always try to grow. Grow your mind. Another important thing on a personal level is hope. You know, hope for more. Hope for a better world. You know, not only is hope empowering, you know, hope is rational, right? A better world is truly within our grasp. And, you know, the more hope we have, the more likely that we'll get to this great world. So, you know, what we need is a empowered population full of hope, you know, full of belief in a better world, and that'll go a long way to getting to this great future. On a more broader level, on like a societal level, the things we want more of, we want more democracy. That's where everybody's voice is heard. You know, voting is really only a small part of democracy. Really what democracy is where you get out and you get your voice heard, right? Take action on the issues that you care about. You know, be involved. That's what democracy truly is, right? It's not just, you know, once every 4 years going to pick one candidate, right? You need to get out there and let your voice be heard. As well, we want more social services like healthcare and education. Lastly, what we need on the societal, the broader level to empower the individual is transparency in government. You know, we should be able to see exactly where all of our money is going, and we should be able to see exactly what these leaders are doing. The things that we want less of, the things that empower the system, are essentially the same things that take power away from the individual. So, on a personal level, the things that we want less of are things like unnecessary violence. You know, what we should try to do is try to keep our fighting to the inside of the ring or the cage or the octagon. Take fighting off the streets and off the schoolyards. Another thing we want less of is hate. You know, don't go around hating. Another thing we want less of is ignorance. You know, it kind of walks. You know, it's kind of the antithesis of knowledge, right? Ignorance. You know, and ignorance leads to fear and to hate, right? So, you know, try to stamp out ignorance if you can. Perhaps the most important thing to try and discourage on a personal level is fear. Fear is really at the root of so many problems in this world, and the more fearlessness that we can all exercise, the better off we all will be. So, you know, just try to overcome that fear, you know, that exists inside of all of us. And if you can do that, you'll be taking steps to empower the individual and take power away from the system. On a broader, more societal level, things that we want to get rid of are things like fear-mongering. Fear, whether it comes from a religious leader or from the news media or from a politician or from a suicide bomber, is something that we want less of, because essentially it ultimately will just empower the system. Another thing we want to avoid is suppression of information. The more information gets suppressed, the more we're unable to freely share ideas, the more the system becomes empowered, and that's something that we want to avoid. Another thing that we want to avoid is unaccountable governments. The government should be afraid of the people. You know, it shouldn't be the other way around. Ultimately, what we need to do to discourage the empowerment of the system is to stop relinquishing our civil rights and our personal liberties for the illusion of security. We need to stop giving in to fear, because anyone who abandons their freedom for security deserves neither. Edmund Burke once said, "All that is necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing." This great future, this great awesome future, can be ours, will be ours, if we just do the right things today. So again, have hope. The future's going to be awesome. Just be aware. Be aware of these two pitfalls that could stop us from getting there, and as long as we don't hit either pitfall, then the world is going to be awesome. I'm truly looking forward to it, and I hope you are too. So thanks for watching. Please give me comments, rate, and subscribe. Peace.